on, guys? It's turning out to be like a marvelously beautiful night. Mother Nature has been good the past couple days. I think we're gonna do two things on this flight. One, I'm just gonna fly around and explore and enjoy it as always. And then two, I think I'm gonna try a Snapchat Q&A. So I'll post on my Snapchat, ask for questions, and then I'll just fly around and answer them as they come in. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna launch, got the chase cam going. Should be good. Let's do it. All right, so it's looking like the wind picked up quite a bit since I got here, which means it's relatively turbulent. I might not be able to swing a low-flying adventure. I will venture down into the valley, get myself away from this ridge so I'm not in the Rotorville, and then I will see what questions people have asked on Snapchat. Gotta love some free-range chickens. Well, quick note, I tightened up the line of my chase cam after reviewing the footage, so I took about 3 feet off of it, and we'll see how it looks now. Well, I'm getting a bombardment of Snapchats, so let's get to some of these questions, shall we? I'm in a good spot. I can just pretty much sit here, hands off into the wind. Austin Travis says, seeing you fly around makes me jealous. Get a paramotor, Austin. You too can be flying around like a friggin' bat ninja. KPL Kyle says, when did you first start getting into flying? My very first pilot in command time was right about when I was 15. I started taking flying lessons in a Cessna 152, and then I soloed when I was 16, and I got my license when I was 17. That was the first pilot in command time. I flew in hot air balloons before that. Paramotors, right about when I was 18. Hobie says, are we going to be at Oshkosh this summer? Yes, I will be at Oshkosh. I'm leaving for Ohio for Flight Fest in a couple days, like a week maybe, and then I'm going to Oshkosh right after that. What is going through your mind before you perform at an air show? That was his question. What's going through my mind is a lot of nervous feelings because the entire show basically rides on whether or not I blow the launch. And if anyone blows a launch, normally we have a backup pilot that can launch into the show and take their place. It all pretty much resides on that launch. And after that launch is successful, everything just flows and it's perfect. And you don't even think about that people are watching or anything like that because I'm just flying around and doing the routine that we practice so many times. The Brian Hicks. Thanks for doing a Q&A. I'm sure you get the question a lot, but on average, how much would you estimate getting into paramotoring cost, gear and training included? Is it around 5,000 to 10,000 range or more? So good question. Generally, what they say is like $8,000 to $12,000 if you're buying new gear and getting training. Training normally costs $1,500 to $2,500. Nolan Middlemass says, fastest ground speed. The fastest I've tested was about 43 miles an hour, like air speed. Ground speed, I don't know, because that can throw in a tailwind and you could go really fast. Sam Lentez says, do you get cell service while flying? Could you take a phone call? Yeah, I got 4G right now and 4 bars of service. Zeno VI? I don't know how you say that. What is the term rotor for PPG? Things to look out when it comes to confronting rotor. Rotor basically means unstable air. It's mechanical turbulence, really. So if the wind is blowing over that hill, which it is right now, on this side of the hill, the air isn't going to just flow over it nice and steady. It's going to get all churned up, which means my landing area here at the park gets turbulent when the wind's from that direction, which I noticed on takeoff, but here I'm in smooth air. Rotor, you should avoid it. It depends on the wind speed and the size of the object. Even trees create rotor. But yeah, avoid it, and if it's doable, then you just confront it and you actively pilot your wing and you hopefully don't take a collapse and die. Got more Snapchats loading. I'm gonna weight shift my way down the valley because it's bumpy. Anthony says, have you paramotored in Maine? Where would you like to fly but haven't yet? I haven't paramotored in Maine. places I want to fly in Hawaii, and I really want to go back out to like the Southwest area, Arizona, Utah area. I want to go to Europe, like Switzerland and Italy and Norway. Christian says, what's your biggest fear while you're in the air? That's a good question. What is my biggest fear? I have to think about that one a little bit. I guess the answer is that typically when I'm just flying around, I really don't have a fear of anything. I guess the biggest fear is maybe weather, because it's the unpredictable things that can get you in trouble, I guess. Your motor could die, but if you assume your motor is going to die all the time, I could land in this field or that yard or that field. But the weather is a little bit more unpredictable than that. Like, if a gust front came out of nowhere and it got crazy turbulent, I'd have to throw my reserve maybe. But I guess things like that are the scariest that I fear. Damn, dude! There's a flag down there and it's standing straight out. I'm looking straight down and the trees are like bending over. This whole question about my worst fears coming to real life. No, I think I'll be fine. All these questions are coming to real life. I feel like I'm gonna open a question about impending death. Then I'm gonna get really freaked out. Let's try just a little bit of turns with this shortened chase cam. Let's see. Sometimes on these bumpy flights, I just turn it into like a high altitude flight, because down low it just gets really bumpy and not fun to fly. But I think that's what I might try, because everywhere it's bumpy down low, so I might as well go high and maybe there'll be a cool sunset. Oh, very nice. I've got some altitude and I'm not parked yet, but I've got a beautiful view of the valley and New York City on the skyline. Cue everyone saying they can't see New York City. I tried it with the zoom lens that one time, sunrise at 5,000 feet or something, and you can still barely see the city. It doesn't do the naked eye any justice. Okay, Alex asks, Black Hawk or Nirvana Rodeo? If I had to pick between those two, I would pick the Rodeo, because I'd never buy another Black Hawk. But Nirvana Rodeo's heavy, so that wouldn't be my top choice either. John Little says, hoping to have my first flight next week. Have been working with my instructor. I'm sure you answered this in one of your vids. But what is your go-to app? Go-to app, honestly, as far as flying goes for apps, I don't really use apps for flying. I have a GPS Test, which is a good one. It kind of gives you this little dashboard. Yeah, I'm going 16 miles per hour and I'm at 2,111 feet. So yeah, sometimes I use this one, but I rarely use my phone. The other one is, what is it called? PPGPS. I rarely use that either, but that logs flights. Adam says, do you have any hobbies beyond paramotoring? Yeah, I used to fly model planes. I don't really fly them much anymore, but I'd like to get back into it more nowadays. I don't know if you consider this a hobby. I would. I like espresso. I've got my espresso machine that's appeared in some videos. Yeah, I like coffee a lot. I like trying new beans, getting my espresso shots dialed. Other than that, skydiving, and I want to get a motorcycle. I guess that's a hobby. Ethan, this is actually a friend of mine. How big is your ego? I don't think I have a very big ego, Ethan. Well, while I wait for people to ask more questions, we might as well do some acro, because it's fun. And I want to see if my chase cam looks any better with the short line. Merrick says, do you know how to fly other ultralights or aircraft other than a paramotor? As far as aircraft I've flown, all my left seat time is in a 152. I've flown like right seat or not PIC. I've flown 172 Stearman for a little while, a Super Decathlon, an Extra 300, a Piper Cub a little bit. I flew a Pilatus once, not like takeoff or landing, but I knew a guy that had a Pilatus, and we flew out of Martha's Vineyard off like the coast, or off the tip of Long Island. We flew all the way back to Allentown. I have to apologize, we've had the same freaking scenery this whole flight because of the wind. And to top it off, the freaking sunset shit over there. We're coming up on sunset, it's 8:12. About 15 more minutes till sunset officially. I'm gonna scoot my way back to the park and we'll see if more questions come in. Dude, I'm nearly parked right here. What's going on with this wind? You know, this is the contrast, I guess. Last night I flew and it was literally dead calm everywhere. Like, I went all over the place and I had no problem crossing mountains and valleys and rivers, and I just went far for an hour or so long. Now tonight, what we got is bumpy air down low, and as soon as you get out of the bumpy air, you're nearly parked. So that's the reality of a paramotor is, you know, you're going 27 miles an hour or so, sometimes slower. If the wind's 15 at altitude, you're down to about 10. That's the real deal. It's not always perfect and rainbow and sunshine. I'd like to do some touch and goes if the wind is consistent and not too rowdy down there, because touch and goes are fun when you have a steady breeze. Yeah, it's a bit wonky. Flag's nearly straight out and we're getting in the territory of rotor. Oh Jesus, chase cam to the prop. Apparently that line length is no good. You alright, buddy? Yeah. It's alright. Let's see if I can get back up off the ground without totally destroying my chase cam. Well, that was a successful reverse launch with the chase cam. I don't know how I feel about that. Talk about some garbage thrashy air. There we go. Found the smooth air. More questions as I gain a little altitude. We've got like 5 more minutes until the sun sets. Is there a cheaper way to get into PPG? From Jeffrey Paul. As far as cheaper ways, you can buy used gear. Some places offer financing. Instruction, I think the lowest you're gonna find is like $1,000, but you really honestly get what you pay for. And my best advice is, if you can't afford it, don't risk your life on something that's not good enough. Bryce says, have you crashed, or what is your closest call? I would say I never crashed. I broke one propeller when I slipped trying to launch my Hydron for the first time. Other than that, close calls. I almost biffed into a field over there one time because I was stupid and I was hands off the brakes and I was messing with a new throttle and I got distracted and I got low. Then all of a sudden the ground was about a foot away and I didn't have brakes to pick myself up, so I just gunned the power and I nearly missed the ground. Let's do a quick barrel roll or two and then we'll come in. Probably back into the thrashy air by now. Note to self. Chase cam length. It's a huge fail. Well, damn. The wind picked up quite a bit. I think we actually got that sea breeze I was talking about right after sunset. So good thing I was on the ground. I hope you guys enjoyed that Q&A. Let me know in the comments if you like Q&A videos. I did 2 a while ago and I figured it's been a while, so I'd do a 3rd. But let me know. Kind of sucks the weather got all strange and bumpy and windy, but that's the reality of paramotoring. Last night was perfect. Tonight was kind of meh, but always a good time regardless. Always good to go out and fly. So I guess that's about all for this one. I'm gonna get home, unload the motor. Tomorrow's rainy, so no flying, just editing, catching up, and I guess I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, peace out. Bwah.